What if the life you keep trying to fix is not the real problem? What if the world outside you is not the prison? What if the prison is the meaning your mind has placed over everything you see? You wake up, look at your past, your fears, your relationships, your limits, your future, and call all of it reality. You say, this is who I am, this is how life works. This is what is possible for someone like me. But how much of that did you truly choose? How much of what you call truth was inherited from pain, repeated by fear, shaped by disappointment, or taught to you before you had the power to question it? Most people believe they are seeing life directly. But the mind does not simply observe reality. It edits it, it colors it. It adds old memories to new situations. It places rejection where there is only silence, danger where there may be growth, and finality where there may only be transition. Then, after building this invisible structure, the mind whispers, "This is reality." That is why the deepest prison does not need walls. It only needs a belief you never question. Plato described human beings as prisoners inside a cave, mistaking shadows for truth. But the most disturbing part of that image is not the darkness, it is the comfort. When a person has lived among shadows for too long, even the light can feel like a threat. This is what happens inside the mind. You become so familiar with your own limitations that freedom feels unrealistic. So used to fear that peace feels suspicious. So attached to an old version of yourself that growth feels like betrayal. Perhaps many people do not escape their inner prison because the prison has started to feel like home. So before you try to change your entire life, ask something more dangerous. What has my mind been calling reality without my permission? Reality does not reach you pure. You think you are reacting to life, but most of the time, you are reacting to an interpretation of life. What hurts you, controls you, attracts you, or terrifies you is often not the event itself. It is the meaning your mind attaches to it before you notice the process happening. Someone does not answer your message, and your mind does not simply say, "There is no answer yet." It says, "They are ignoring me," or "I did something wrong," or "People always leave." A door closes, and the mind does not simply see an ending. It sees failure, humiliation, proof, destiny. Your senses bring fragments. Your mind turns those fragments into a world. It filters what you notice, decides what matters, compares the present with the past, and searches for patterns even where there may only be uncertainty. The same silence can mean peace to one person and rejection to another. The same challenge can feel like an invitation to one mind and a warning sign to another. The event may be shared. The reality is private. So the deeper question is not what is happening to me, it is what is my mind doing with what is happening to me. A painful experience becomes a filter. The filter becomes a habit. The habit becomes a personality. The personality becomes a fate. At some point in life, a person may begin to believe their coping mechanisms are their identity. They say, "I am just like this." But sometimes, what they call just like this is not who they are. It is what they became in order to survive. Distance may once have been protection. Suspicion may once have been intelligence. Silence may once have been the safest way to avoid being punished for feeling too much. What we later call personality may have begun as armor. These defenses often work at first. They protect you. They help you survive. So the goal is not to hate them. The goal is to stop mistaking them for your true self. Because a survival strategy can save your life in one season and steal your life in another. What once protected your heart can later prevent it from opening. What once helped you endure loneliness can make intimacy feel impossible. What once kept you safe from shame can trap you in silence. This is the prison within the prison, not only seeing the world through a filter, but becoming loyal to the identity that filter created. And the mind does not always search for truth first. It often searches for what feels familiar. This is why people repeat patterns they claim to hate. They return to the same fears, the same relationships, the same self-sabotage, not because they want pain, but because the pain is known. The familiar has a strange power over human beings. Even when it hurts, it feels predictable. Even when it limits you, It gives the mind a map it already understands. Freedom has no map. A person can say they want peace and still feel uncomfortable when life becomes calm. They can say they want love and still push it away when it becomes available. They can say they want success and still sabotage themselves when they get too close. Not because they are lying, because the nervous system may confuse familiar suffering with safety. The old prison has furniture now. It has explanations, routines, excuses that sound intelligent, fears that sound like wisdom, and limitations that sound like realism. Epictetus taught that people are disturbed not by things themselves, but by the judgments they form about them. What binds you is not only what happens, it is the judgment your mind repeats until it feels unquestionable. So the question is not simply, what do I fear? The deeper question is, what familiar version of myself is this fear trying to preserve? Because some fears are not warnings about the future. They are loyalty to the past, and the past often speaks through memory disguised as the present. There are moments when your reaction is too strong for what just happened. Someone changes their tone, and your body becomes tense. Someone gives you criticism, and it does not feel like feedback. It feels like a verdict. Someone becomes distant, and before you understand anything, your mind is already preparing for abandonment. In those moments, you may think you are responding to the present. Often, you are responding to a memory that has dressed itself as the present. The mind does not only remember the past, it uses the past as a template. It takes old pain and places it over new moments. It takes old fear and calls it intuition. It takes old disappointment and calls it evidence. Because the feeling is intense, you believe it must be true. But intensity is not always truth. Sometimes intensity is memory returning through the body. Healing requires more than positive thinking. The wiser path is to listen without surrendering, feel without becoming the feeling. Notice the alarm without immediately trusting the story it tells. Not every emotional alarm is a current truth. Some alarms were installed in old rooms you no longer live in. When you are imprisoned by memory, you say, "This is happening again." When awareness enters, you ask, "What part of me believes this is happening again?" That question creates space between the event and the story, between the feeling and the command, between the memory and the present. And in that space, freedom begins to breathe. But the prison does not only shape your reactions, it also shapes your choices. You may believe you are free because you can choose what to say, where to go, who to trust, what to pursue, what to avoid. But who created the field where your choices appear? A prison does not need to remove every option. It only needs to limit the options you can imagine. You may choose a career, but did you choose what success means to you? You may choose a relationship, but did you choose the kind of love you believe you deserve? You may choose your goals, but did you choose the size of life your mind feels allowed to imagine? Sometimes what we call choice is only obedience wearing better clothes. That is the illusion of choice, not the absence of options, but the inability to see beyond the options your mind permits. So ask before every major decision, who is choosing right now? The wounded part, the fearful part, the conditioned part, the part that wants approval, or the part of me that is ready to live beyond the old map? That question interrupts automatic living. It reveals that the mind is not only choosing, it is telling a story. Every mind lives inside a hidden narrative about who we are, what life is, what love costs, what danger looks like, and what kind of future is possible. Most people never hear this story clearly because it does not sound like a story, it sounds like truth. The door begins to open when the narrator is finally heard. When the mind says, "This always happens to me," pause and ask, is this truth or is this the old story looking for another chapter? When it says, "I cannot be that person," ask, who taught me the limits of who I am allowed to become? When it says, "I already know how this ends," ask, am I seeing the future or remembering the past? These questions create space, and space is dangerous to the prison because the prison depends on automatic belief. The crack appears when you notice a thought without immediately becoming its servant. A thought says, "You are not ready," and you stop. Another says, "They will reject you," and you hide. Another says, "You will fail again," and you never begin. This is how the mind rules quietly. It makes every thought feel like an order, and every emotion feel like evidence. But the moment you say, "I am noticing fear," instead of "I am fear," something changes. Awareness enters. And awareness does not need to fight the mind. It simply turns on the light. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali describe yoga as the stilling of the movements of the mind. This is not only about silence, it is about no longer being dragged by every inner movement as if it were your master. Fear can rise without choosing for you. Doubt can speak without becoming law. Sadness can appear without becoming your identity. This is inner authority, not controlling every thought, not suppressing every emotion, not pretending to be above pain, but watching what arises inside you without handing it the steering wheel. The mind is not your enemy. It helps you remember, plan, speak, create, protect, and learn. The problem begins when the tool becomes the master. The way out is not escaping the mind, it is seeing through it. To see through the mind means you no longer treat every thought as reality, every fear as wisdom, every memory as proof, or every inner voice as your deepest truth. You begin to understand that the mind is producing interpretations, not commandments. Maps, not the territory itself. The new self feels unfamiliar. The new peace feels suspicious. The new courage feels risky. The new boundary feels like guilt. The new life feels like stepping into a room where the lights are still off. Do not be surprised when the old mind resists. Sometimes resistance does not mean you are going the wrong way. It means you are approaching the edge of the prison. Finally, the deepest truth is simple, but not easy. The prison was not the world. It was the unseen agreement between your mind and your wounds. This is the moment where suffering becomes structure. The mind tries to protect you by turning pain into rules. It believes that if it can predict the next wound, it can prevent it. But a life built only around protection slowly becomes a life without openness. You may survive there, you may function there, you may even look strong there, but something inside you knows the difference between being safe and being free. Safety says, stay where nothing can touch you. Freedom says, become conscious enough to meet life without abandoning yourself. That is where the door is hidden. Not outside you, not in a perfect future, not in a life without difficulty. The door is in the moment you become aware of the thought before obeying it, the fear before calling it truth, the memory before letting it become the present, the story before surrendering another chapter to it. The old thoughts may still return, the old fear may still knock, the old identity may still try to reclaim the throne, but now something in you can answer. This is only what I learned, and what was learned can be examined. What was repeated can be interrupted. What was inherited can be questioned. What was built can be rebuilt. The mind may still call it reality, but something deeper in you now knows the truth. You are not the prison. You are the awareness that can see the prison. You are not the story. You are the one who can hear the story and decide whether it deserves another page. You are not the fear. You are the presence that can hold fear without making it king. Perhaps the door was never locked. Perhaps it was only hidden behind one belief you never questioned, one meaning you never examined, one identity you never realized you were allowed to outgrow. So ask yourself before this video ends, what belief have you mistaken for reality for far too long? What story has been living through you without permission? What old fear has been choosing the size of your life? And who would you become if you stopped calling the prison your home? If this reflection spoke to you, subscribe to The Veiled Truth and stay with us on this journey through mind, reality, philosophy, and consciousness. This channel is a space for everyone who feels there is something deeper beneath the surface of life, and your voice matters here. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your reflection may help someone else see something they were not able to see alone. Subscribe, stay close, and continue walking with us. The truth is veiled, but together we learn to see.